The pursuit of big game is a tradition as timeless as creation itself. This is the program that follows the progression of our hunting lifestyles from where we've been to where we are now and where we're going. This is the Marshfield Outdoors Podcast with Chad Heflin.
All right, another week of the Marshfield Outdoor Podcast, and I have a returning guest on, Mike Burnside. We've been keeping up with each other, probably 2 years now almost, Mike, and I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Man, glad to be here, Chad. Glad to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, well, I know I'm very thankful for you giving me feedback over the last year about the podcast and different episodes and mostly good stuff. Sometimes you're like, oh, we might need to fix that. So I appreciate that too, the honesty. And I just it's hard to tell when you're doing something. You can look at analytics that your computer puts out, but it's like, is anybody really listening to this? And it's nice to get that feedback from you. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of transfers to life. I mean, we're doing what we always think, hey, I'm doing something right. And it's good to have somebody for a sounding board, no matter what.
Right.
Say, hey, you might want to change things a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love it. And, obviously we've been keeping up with each other during the hunting year and family. And it's just been an awesome, I guess, virtual friendship that we've created over the last couple of years, if that's a thing. And I just do appreciate you getting on. But tonight we're going into the Faithful Outdoorsmen segment tonight of the podcast. And, Mike's been keeping up with that. And we're going to be talking about faith. What is faith? We've kind of talked a little bit about it, Mike, but you can go down some rabbit holes with that you might just chase your tail the whole time. But, we can kind of relate it to hunting. There's some things that I'm going to talk about. But, I think from your story of your life that we, kind of revealed in the first podcast, you're a very good example for young men or women, young Christians to really know, what faith is when they look at that testimony that you have.
Yeah. It's like we know. And sometimes, we always think, well, I'm glad something like that hadn't happened to me. I said that just, about somebody else I'd see, to test my faith.
Right.
But, like you said, I had things that test my faith as I've gone through life. And I've always looked at it as, that's just one challenge that's preparing me for something else later that could happen later on down the road.
Right.
And sure enough, my dad passed away when I was 18 unexpectedly. My mom, she passed away when I was 31, and it was a month before the kids were born. And that was it was unexpected too. I say that they were both passed away early. They were both. My dad was 48, my mom was 59. I used to think that was really old, and anymore it's like, no, that's not that old.
At least you hope not, right?
Oh yeah.
Now that you're at that age,
yeah,
getting that way.
Oh yeah. But then when the kids were born, and Kinsey with her problems and her life, having her disability, it's just one thing that you have that faith that things are going to work out, and and it has, and I will say it's helped grow my faith, just because I've always looked at it, my sense is that hey, I can sit here and wallow around in self-pity. Why me?
Right.
Or I can say, this is what I've got. Let's do the best we can.
Right.
And
God has a way of really utilizing situations to glorify him, yes, but also be an example for others. And like I was saying in the beginning, it's kind of what I was getting at, Mike, is, we're here to I feel like we're put on this earth, obviously, to glorify God, to be an example of the kingdom of heaven here on earth. And we're all sinners. We all we're not perfect. There's only person that was perfect that walked this earth. And he's, 2023 years ago, he was born, and he died at 33, which was very young. But the way that you handle things, I think people can go back really and dive into the first podcast episode that me and you did together and kind of get more of the story. But when you're going through those situations, you had to, turn to your wife, but you had to be the leadership of the family, and really grab on to God. Is that kind of how you remember it during during those times?
Yeah, I will say my wife Janet, she's always been the rock. I mean, ever since we got married, she has. I will say she has the faith to move mountains.
Yeah.
And I said I was the physical one to move those mountains for.
Mhm.
But my faith, I did. Yeah, my faith grew. As a matter, like I said, that we trust in God that He's going to provide. We don't face any problem that's bigger than the both of us, because God is with us, and we've got to know that we have faith that everything's going to work out. And we've been blessed. We have our challenges, like you've seen in our adventures. We face more challenges getting Kinsey into a lot of situations, and me or you just grabbing our bow, running out there and running up a tree. Than we
Right.
can do. We can't do those sort of things with Kinsey. Takes more planning and logistics. But yeah,
Right.
like you said, we're an example. We always look to be an example for others, or maybe facing the same sort of situation, and they don't know what to do, because I was in the same place. I didn't know what to do,
Mhm.
and I looked to other people that were, strong, had strong faith, and believed in God, and they're like, I was like, if they can do this, we can do this too. We can help.
Yeah.
We can help Kinsey, and hopefully we can be an example to somebody else.
Yeah, and that kind of takes me to my first Bible verse. I think I sent you. It's James 1:3. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith works patience. Right? So really, that's what we're talking about, is that, some people, we get into these situations where we feel like we're just turning our wheel, turning our wheels, and frustration sets in, defeat sets in, all these things set in. But if you can just turn it around and look at, you know, Mike, you have a great example with your life, is just whatever you're doing now is preparing you for what's to come. And, even if it's a tough spot, if you think about an Olympic athlete, or maybe, a real good example would be like a Olympic weightlifter, right? The struggles that they go through during the time they train, they're lifting those weights day in and day out, preparing them for the heavy lifting of that one moment to succeed.
Yeah.
And, that's trying your faith in yourself, and, working your patience and knowledge, and your growth and your progressions to get that one moment, which, as us, as Christians, that one moment is, when we die, we leave, our body here on earth, and go be with the Lord. And, I think that's a great example there. But, like your family's a great example of that.
Oh, thanks. It's like I said, I won't say my faith hadn't been tried over the years. And everybody, I think, as human beings, we all face that at some point. We don't know what that is to test our faith, but something will happen that it will. I say, we won't lose faith, but we're like, okay, God, what is this meant to be? And we
Yep.
don't, just like we don't know the whole plan. We don't know what it is, and I will say that, whether it's 2 weeks, a week, 2 months down the road, I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense now, why it happened
Hmm.
that way. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
we
well,
have
it's
that
not meant
trust.
to be known in the moment, I don't think. If you
Right.
knew, you would probably, you either maybe you'd shrug it off, or maybe you'd be like, okay, let me work harder. Have to work for each situation as you think they're going to be coming to you. So, but kind of talking about hunting real quick, and bringing the outdoors, our outdoor lifestyle into it. I wrote down, how does faith relate to us in outdoors? When we think about, we were just talking about anabolic growth. We were talking about food plots. We were talking about the logistics of Kinsey's, trips, skiing, and all types of different things y'all are getting ready to do. And then your hunts throughout the year. We prepare, we scout, we plan, we invest time. If you look at, anybody on Instagram now, it's deer season's out. The first post you see the next day is this is a 365-day lifestyle, or preparing for next year now. It never stops. That's the next thing. So if you can sit there and look at that, I mean, how much faith does a hunter have to put in money, invest time, planning? I mean, these are like things that we work hard for and don't come by very much, money. And you're like, this is all going to make me succeed and kill a big buck in the fall, or I'm going to have these turkeys here. And all it is, it builds confidence. It really builds confidence. The process builds confidence. And that's what I'm trying to get at, is if you take the process of growing in your faith, because I've really come, I'd say in the last 5 months now, is I've really had a burning desire for my journey and my faith to really progress. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a young family. I don't know, what it is, but I'm excited about it, right? But taking that journey, it's going to build confidence in your faith in God. So that's kind of how I was relating it to the outdoors.
And that's, as a hunter, like you talked about, whether it's a confidence or, hey, I've got to have these new camo clothes, this insulation, whatever that is, whether that's confidence or, faith that these are what's going to help me achieve what I'm looking for. This new rifle, this new bow, this new tree stand, every part of that is our faith. And that's what's going to help us achieve our end result. And as Christians, our faith is in, okay, the life I'm living, the things I'm doing, that's going to help me achieve our final result. We want to be with God. We want to get to heaven, be with God. What's going on the same lines. We've got the same sort of deals that we're looking at as hunters, be it hunters, fishermen, as Christians. We've all got the same sort of goal.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And I think, maybe it might be a little easier for us to relate to that. But I guess on the other hand, it makes it very hard for us to not, notice it really at the same time, right? So we don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, did you have some other Bible verses that you wanted to go into, and then we can keep building off of that?
I had another one I had here. Hebrews, and the one you put on your tag in for the podcast, Hebrews 11:1. That one hits hard. And Hebrews is the faith chapter. Chapter 11, that it talks about the faith of everybody, what they had to, the faith they had to have to achieve what they were wanting to do. The 11:1 says, "Now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see." Yeah. This is what the ancients were commanded for. So sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. That describes us as a Christian. That describes us as a hunter. This is our target buck. That we have to have the faith. This is what's going to do. I'm going out to hunt today. I'm going to see that monster buck I've been chasing. Right. That huge tom, that huge elk, whatever it is. Right. I've got to have faith. If I go out, I'm not going to kill anything today. And, I don't have faith that's going to happen. That affects our journey, no matter what it is.
But it's also like a motivation, right? It's also a driving force to continue making you go out. So, as Christians, we can use that as a motivation to seek, to pursue. I think 1 Timothy 6:11, "Man of God, flee from these things and pursue after righteousness, godliness, faithfulness, love, patience, and kindness." Pursue. Pursuing is something like, we say hunting, we say, whatever word, whatever word you want to use as in us going to harvest an animal, but it's pursuing, it's seeking. It's no different than what this is right there. "Man of God, flee from these things of the world and pursue after righteousness, godliness, faithfulness, love, patience, and kindness." Take these things, fruits of the Spirit, and I think the Bible talks about a lot is, you can tell a good tree from a bad tree from the fruits that it produces, right? Yeah. So those are the things that you're trying to promote and let people see and let people know. And all of us have that to work on. I mean, I've had my fair share of things that I've done, but the good thing is we're on this side of Jesus dying for our sins, right? So we have that.
Yeah, and each everyone is they've got their own faith journey, and we've all been at that same point in some point in our lives. I mean, it's easy to say we're always questioning, am I doing the right thing? Because we always are striving, just like you said, we're pursuing the end result to be with Jesus and God in heaven.
Yeah.
So we're always pursuing that, and so we're always going to question our faith journey. Are we doing what is right? And that's a good thing. If we have that, we're honestly looking at ourselves saying, am I doing what God would have me do?
Yeah, it's promoting a progression. I think it's promoting endurance. It's promoting, there's no, and that's the other thing I want to make sure of, Mike, is like there's no bad time to do this until you don't have time to do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's never too late until it's too late. And you don't want to be in that camp of it was too late and I should have done these things, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But I was looking at, Mike, when we were talking about the definition. So that's the definition of faith in the Bible that I looked up on the internet. I wanted to compare definitions of faith from the Bible to like what the internet says, but it says complete trust or confidence in someone or something. And then it says, has a little thing where it like puts it in a sentence. This restores one's faith in politicians. Well, I don't know if that will ever happen.
Yeah, I don't know if that will ever get there, but that's an incredible faith.
Yeah, exactly. But complete trust or confidence in someone or something. It's not far off from what you're seeing in the biblical definition, but that something or someone is Jesus Christ, right? Not a politician. So I just thought it was funny seeing how they differentiated and they used that sentence to kind of promote the word. So
oh yeah.
that's probably the worst thing they could probably do.
Yeah, that they should have went to a different analogy. Right. Because that one I don't know if anybody would have that much faith. Well, I'm afraid there are people that have that sort of faith.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think I could ever have that sort of faith.
No, and I don't think it's going to get counted against us either.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, talk about adversity. I mean, I think, I know that you have no problem or issue sharing your story or testimony because it helps a lot of people. But adversity, I'd say adversity probably is the biggest thing that rocks people's faith. Why me? We kind of touched on a little bit at the beginning. Why me? Why is this situation going on? I can't get out of this. Did you have those times? Obviously, when Kennedy was born, you're going through the things with it was Hunter, right? Hunter
When Hunter passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's you always have those conversations with yourself or with your spouse. I had those conversations with myself in my head a lot. Why me? Why does this have to happen to me? You read about this happening to someone, but it's like, okay, you never really expect it to happen to you or someone even within your inner circle, family or friends. And when it does, I mean, it will make you ask those questions. And, Janet always said that God was talking to her when I talked about this on our podcast, that, when we got the diagnosis from a neurologist that Kinsey had cerebral palsy and, that severe to moderate to severe, which, we had faith, talking about that. We had faith. Oh, it's not going to be as severe as they talk about. We have faith that it's not going to be that bad. So in that respect, I think that helped motivate us too. But when we got the diagnosis from neurologist, Janet was going through a funk. I mean, she'll tell you that, she was really down, depressed. And I think she says it around 2 days. And I do remember going out to her on the patio. She's sitting on a patio. And I said, this isn't the life we chose. This isn't, what we would have wished for our lives. But this is the life that we have. We can get through this. We can either sit here and wallow in pity, or we can say, we're going to make Kinsey's life the best thing possible. We're going to do all there is And she said, that God spoke to her that, we're going to do this. And, that's what we've done. And,
You haven't lit up, I can tell you that.
I will say, I've told them, it's like, okay, I didn't mean to take it to this extreme. I mean, Kinsey, like you've seen, Kinsey loves, she won't turn down an adventure. She'll do it all. She'll try it all at least once. They're
What, you're
very
ready to go
things.
snowboard, or she's going skiing next week for what, 13th year in a row, I think?
Oh, yeah, 13th year in a row. She absolutely loves snow skiing. And, that's something to see, and that, and we've always said that God opened so many doors. One door might have closed. We haven't had that many. And it was for a reason that those doors shut, that, some activity, something she wanted to do. But the next activity, Kinsey just loved even more. So, that's part of the faith.
It's funny how, when you're talking about doors opening, Carson Corey and his wife Lindsay were on from Final Drop TV the other night, and you kind of get a picture in your head about how life's supposed to be, or maybe a short-term clip in your head about the next few months or the next year. And you're like, this is how it's going to go. I feel strongly about this. And all of a sudden, like, things start kind of just dying off. Like, really, doors start really shutting. And you can kind of sit back, and it's happened to me a lot, especially with the podcast, because, this takes a lot. It takes effort, right? Me doing this every week, and it takes commitment. And it's not anything that I obviously get money for or anything like that, or make money to provide for a family. So it's a hobby, and and it just takes time from the family. But when you, I don't know, I felt really strongly about this podcast platform ever since I started it. And, things over the last year, we're at a year now that it's been going on. I think this will be the 42nd episode. I took a few breaks in there, so almost one a week for the last year. But when doors start closing, and you're early in your walk in your faith, or that early progressionary in your journey, it might be like you kind of get impatient sometimes, or you can kind of shake your head and keep trying to pound that door down. But as you go along, you start reading into these things. You're like, okay, and you start trusting. You start having faith in the process. And like you said, I'm sure at the beginning, when you started really getting into these things with Kinsey and really going down this road of this adventures, and maybe not having a whole vision of what it's supposed to look like, except you're supposed to go this way. I'm sure you've run into those situations where, let's knock this door down, but it doesn't come down, or then these doors open up.
Oh, yeah. That, some of those doors, they didn't open for a reason, and that was, and I look back now, it's like, that's why that didn't develop. Time, like anything in our life, time reveals more than likely why we should or shouldn't have done this route. And I will say today's, on, I guess, good or bad aspect, my life has been, I've seen it from zero, before social media. I remember back in the day, man, the only thing you found out about anybody is if it was in the small town newspaper, that was it, or you heard from somebody. And you think about hunting shows, like we talked before. Hunting shows, they used to, if you're going to watch a hunting show, I would tune into 1 of 3 channels we used to get, and one of those was on. Well, now in today's world, it's everything is streamed, or the instant gratification, or social media. So I think that we've become accustomed to seeing, hey, Joe Blow's life is just so great. Sally, man, she is just living it up, having a great day. And why has this happened to me? Why? We're seeing a snapshot of their lives. We're not seeing their whole life. We're not seeing that behind the scenes, they've got these sort of things going on.
Well, you can look at your life. Right now, because of the things you do with social media and stuff, because you're really, you're really putting your life out there, really to, be an example, and hopefully, light a fire for other families that may be going through these things, that this is possible. I mean, nobody understands the struggles that you went through to get to this point. Everyone's like, oh man, they're living it up. They're going to this, they got Kinsey doing this, and Sherman the Tank's coming out, going across the snow and pulling deer, and nobody understands. And you're right. Facebook and Instagram and all these social media platforms can be such a real play of like all the fantastic things that go on in your life. Highlight reel. It's the top 10 that everybody puts up on Sports Center.
Yeah. It was like, okay, here's a measuring stick, and this person's life is at 12 inches. I'm down here about 3/4 of an inch, compared to everything I'm seeing. And
not knowing that they, surpassed those measurements as well to get there. They didn't start there.
Yeah.
And I think that comes with, maturing in your progression and stuff like that. But, I think you also had this verse too, which I think is a good spot to put it in, is Matthew 21:22. In all things, whatsoever you shall pray or ask in prayer, have faith and you shall receive. And I think that's a big thing to note, Mike, because this has happened to me recently. I had not really been in the habit of, letting things develop and praying about things. And I was always, I'm a very energetic person when it comes to making a decision. I mean, Morgan would tell you, and I think it's going to be on the other podcast, the main podcast this week, of, I come home from a duck hunt, I'm getting ready I'm going to go buy a boat so we can start duck hunting, or, whatever it is. I'm just very quick, and I don't let things naturally develop. And, there's some things going on with the podcast that are very, very good right now. And, in the process of this kind of maybe starting to come together, in times that I would really just continue to be on top of these, asking questions or really jumping the gun a little bit, I slowed myself down. I said, look, God, I prayed those mornings and those nights. I said, look, I'm not going to act on this at all. I know you're trying to teach me patience. I know those are things I struggle with in my, fruits of the Spirit, but I'm not going to act on this. Said, and in return, will you please show me this? I don't want to miss it. Like, lay it right out there for me and make it where I can see it. And sure enough, I'm not kidding you, 3 days of praying on that, and a phone call came through, and it was the exact answer, like words out of the person's mouth that answered what I was asking about, And I mean, unreal, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. That goes back to we're used to instant gratification, and if we will sit back and give it some time, let God answer our prayer. Hey, I want that pony, and I want that pony now.
Yeah, exactly.
If we sit there and we'll sit there and let God answer, there's a reason. We're going to get that pony, or God will provide the reason why we don't. We may not see that reason for a long time, but there's, like you said, I mean, God provided us perfect words. Somebody speaking through somebody lets you know, okay, God, I understand. I'm glad I let you have it.
Yeah.
We wake up well before anyone or anything else. We have spent our time studying, researching, and planning. As one day, these are lessons that will be handed down to our kids and our grandkids. We believe in buying a tag, even if we know we may not harvest an animal, as it will go to protecting the future for our kids. Now, we have taken it a step further. With every bag of bear beans sold, 10% will go to protecting the environment and animal populations, so the traditions that were handed down to us will get passed down once again.
I think that helps give you some encouragement, right? I think that was kind of what I was saying. Flee from these things in the world and seek after righteousness, seek after your faithfulness, seek after these things. And it doesn't mean 100 miles an hour, go forward with it. It really just means pray about these things, understand where you're at in the situation, take it situationally. I've always had a hard time with that. And it's just, as I'm getting older and trying to be a better leader for my family and a better, the best father I can be for, my kids, like, what does a good father look like? What does a good, husband look like? Well, it tells me, right. I have my Bible in here, so I'm going to do that. But, it tells me not on Google. I wasn't pointing to Google. I was, I was referring to my Bible. It shows you, I mean, it kind of lays things out there for you. And, sometimes you just have to slow your life down and really just embrace the process,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, we've always heard, hey, you have to have some quiet time with God.
mhm,
You need to have some quiet alone time, study God's word. Well, yeah, when we're going through life, I don't have that time. I don't have that time.
yeah,
And I have found over time when I make that time, and study God's word and let God, and say, God, what do you want me to do? I mean, it's amazing what that alone time, that meditation, and you
mhm,
come back in a few days, what you're asking.
yeah,
Yeah, you most of the time something reveals why, what you're asking.
yeah, and it just makes you, encourages you. But kind of going towards wrapping things up, Mike. I enjoy trying to kind of dive into people's progressions a little bit, our guest progressions a little bit. But as you look back over your life, when I look at mine, I'm 34 now, just turned 34 last week. I can see progressions in my life. Had you always been really deep into your faith, or was there a certain point that that's where it switched for you?
Don't want y'all to miss out on this exclusive Hat Club deal. 20% off each month, $26 is the price, and you can get a hat just like this or this one and many more that we're coming out with that's going to be exclusive to our Hat Club. Click that link below and join our exclusive Hat Club. You don't want to miss out.
I will say that before kids, and it goes back to Janet. Janet, that's where my faith grew a lot. Just Janet is strong in her faith.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I always say that she's the one who brought my faith along.
Mm-hmm.
And each thing that happened in my life, I will say I chose the road that my faith grew. When my dad died, my mom, Kinsey, Hunter dying, I had the choice. Well, I can sit here really not do anything, but I was like, no, I've got faith in God that we're going to make it through this deal. And in that faith, God always also wants us to, we have to, trying to think of a good way to put it. I mean, we have to apply ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be it doing whatever. We can't just say, okay, God, I'm praying that I get through this and you provide,
Yeah.
Nope, doesn't work that way. God provides us with abilities to react, to have faith.
Yep.
But he wants us to do things. But yeah, I would say Janet was the one. And, each different thing that's happened has made me stronger in my faith. And I think a lot of that I would attribute to Kinsey because, her attitude, her perseverance, and, I've told her what an inspiration she is to me, everybody else. And, we have faith that we can pull this off. We can do this. We'll make this work. So yeah, she's another one, between Janet and Kinsey, they really helped increase my faith over my lifetime.
And it's funny how God also puts people in your life to help you, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. If we'll look around, those people, whether it's a neighbor down the street, whether it's a person in our family,
Mm-hmm.
Those people are available if we'll just look, hey, I'm having some problems. Can I talk to you about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They'll help you. We just have to ask and have that faith.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I think this has definitely been great. I think people will get a lot out of, whoever listens to this or whoever's listening. I think you'll get a lot out of this episode. And, there's tons more, I'm sure, that we could talk about faith, a lot of rabbit holes we could go down.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we've related it well to the outdoors. I think we've related it well through our testimony, through your life. And I appreciate you being on tonight. I just encourage people to seek. I encourage people to take time and slow down and enjoy this life that is like a vapor that comes and goes really quickly. I mean, I talk about looking back over your life, and I'm sure you can as much as I can in 34 years. I'm like, dang, where'd that time go?
Oh,
and let's
yeah.
get things right from here on out.
Yeah. Yeah. And we always say, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Well, I've learned over time, tomorrow gets here and it was gone before I even knew it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
If anybody has, some feedback on this, if you have an opinion on, what faith is to you, I'd love for you to reach out, DM me. You can, DM Mike as well, and give us your opinion on faith. I think everybody, as long as you're reading the Bible and you're investing time, I think it's going to speak to you differently. And everybody has their own walk and journey through finding their faith and their process and their progress. So you may get something different out of what Mike and I have gotten out of it tonight. So I just encourage you to, pick it up and look, seek, knock, pray, and things will start being revealed to you if you really come to it in with an open mind, clear mind, and a full heart for God. Things will work out. But
last thing I'll say, this kind of my definition is a great definition I found on Hebrews 11:1. We talked about trusting in something you cannot explicitly prove. Like we said, I talked about that's hunting.
Yeah.
That's hunting to a T. I can't prove that whatever animal I'm after is going to be here at this time and I'm going to have everything right, but I have the faith that it's all going to work out.
Right. Well, I think that's also where the big hunting camp or fishing camp stories come from, right?
Oh, yeah.
People saw this and then they didn't have faith in what you call, but now we have game cameras, which help out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's good, Mike. And I think that's something that people can really relate to and hold on to. Because it is tough. Sometimes faith is tough because it is not something tangible, and we're in a tangible right now type of world with how our society is running 1,000 miles an hour. So I think it may be probably the toughest time to really relate to understanding what faith is. But
like we talked about, each person's faith journey is different. Right now, we're all different. I'm worried about, okay, what am I going to do on whatever Kenzie's hunt is? Another person's like, okay, how am I going to get enough paycheck to provide food, for the family the rest of the month? Mm-hmm. I mean, we've all got those different faith journeys, and it's okay to question. It's okay to question our faith. It's just that, the knowing that God, the end result is God, and what we have to do, keep on strengthening our faith that, we will make it through.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Mike, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on again. I hope, I'd say as long as you want to, you're welcome back anytime, because I appreciate the talks and the encouragement and the insight. I really enjoyed it. And also, I love seeing and continue seeing all the adventures you and Kenzie have, which gives me faith for my girls that are coming along, 4 and 2 years old. So, especially the fishing. I know Kenzie loves fishing.
Oh, yeah. 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 So, you and your girls are going to have some great fishing stories here. In the next few years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll look for Mike and Kenzie and Janet going out to skiing next weekend. So that'll be an adventure that I'm sure you're going to share plenty of photos and videos of. I enjoy seeing them. I know everybody else does too. And Mike, where can people follow you at on Instagram?
It's at Mike _Burnside _doing _life. Yeah. What I had originally tried to choose was all taken. So it's like, okay, I'm going to make something work.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I always, I have to get you to say it because sometimes I might say it wrong.
It takes me a while to try to, okay, now am I doing this right?
Yeah. Well, go follow Mike on Instagram. Look at his and Kenzie's and their family's adventures. They're great to watch. continue following along with Marshfield Outdoors. I really appreciate everybody subscribing to the YouTube channel and watching. This video is going to be up next week, middle of next week. Continue listening to the podcast. I appreciate it. We have a lot of content continuing coming out, and we have a line up coming in the next month and a half leading up to turkey season. So keep following us for all of that. Thanks for following the Faithful Outdoorsmen segment. And until next time, we'll see you in the woods. And thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Chad.